Good morning and welcome to NWCR's Removing the Liberal Blindfold for this Tuesday, the 19th day of May in the year of our Lord 2020. First off, I want to wish my brother a very happy birthday today. He is 66 today. Happy birthday, Jim. And now for what is going on. I wanted to give us all a history lesson today. In 1963 in Congress was the listing of the communistic goals for America. There are 45 things listed, and I want to go through them today. I won't go through all of them because a lot of them, people of today won't even remember them. I do because I've lived through them all. But I have done this on my show several times, and it would behoove any American to know the enemy. Because if you don't know the enemy, you are bound to be beaten by that enemy. And folks, mark my words, we are being beaten by the enemy. The enemy? There are several today. One of them I want to talk about today is socialism. The other one is there's socialism and communism, but the other one is Islamism. And yes, that is an enemy. Communism, which brings in terrorism and other unsavory things into America that the kids of today do not think are bad. But look at the list, folks, and I'm going to read through them. And you think for yourself, how many have been done? 1. U.S. acceptance of coexistence and the only alternative to atomic war. 2. U.S. willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. 3. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. That is ongoing all the time, folks. 4. Permit free trade between all nations regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not the items could be used for war. 5. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. 6. Provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. And that's going on all the time. Americans are usually the first to give in any thing that happens in this world that is bad. We are the first ones there to help. 7. Grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the UN. That's happened. 8. Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under supervision of the UN. 9. Prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. They're always in progress, so there you go. 10. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN. That has happened. 11. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one world government. You've heard this one before, haven't you, folks? Be set up as a one world government with its own independent armed forces. Got that, folks? 12. Resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. And that's going with Islam now. We are being told you can't talk against Islam or the Communist Party. 13. Do away with all loyalty oaths. 14. Continue giving Russia access to U.S. Patent Office. Why would we want them to have access to our U.S. Patent Office? 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. One has been completely taken over, the Democrats. The other one, parts of it have already been taken over. Other parts, not so much yet. 16. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken the basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. We've all heard this one, folks. 17. Get control of the schools. Now, this one has happened. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda and Islam now. Soften the curriculum. Get control of the teachers' associations. Put party line in textbooks. We've all heard that one, whether we want to admit that one or not. 18, gain control of all student newspapers. 19, use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. We've seen this now under communist attack or Islam attack, any of this. If the students riot, it is to foment public protests against the programs. 20, infiltrate the press. This one's happened. It's all done. It's completed. Don't have to worry about that one anymore. 21, gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. That's happened. 22, continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. That's happened. 23, control art critics, directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. How much of this kind of stuff have we seen in our lifetime, and especially during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s? 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. That's happened. 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. The stuff you see on TV nowadays would have been X-rated 30 years ago. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, healthy. We've all seen this, and it happens daily on TV, even on Disney now. 27, infiltrate the churches and replace the revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible. How long has that been going on? And emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. Well, here we go. We are now in the middle of a lockdown where churches have been deemed non-essential and they're closed. 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of a religious expression in the schools on the grounds that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. Tell me, where in the Constitution is the separation of church and state? It ain't there. Where in our other documents is separation of church and state? It ain't there. I guarantee you. 29, discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to the cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. We hear that all the time. Students yelling out that the Constitution needs to be gotten rid of. Socialism is the way to go. Yeah, right. Socialism has never worked and never has in history of mankind. 30, discredit the American Founding Fathers. How often have you heard that? Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. They were the common man, folks. 31, belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the grounds that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over, and Islamic history since Islam took over. That is also only a minor part of the big picture, but that's not how they want to teach it. 32, support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. That's happened. 33, eliminate all laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus, and is now also including Islamic ideals, which are not peaceful like the Democrats always tell you. 34, eliminate the House Committee on American Activities. 35, discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. What's going on with the FBI today, folks? It's all in the news. They're being discredited. Everything is going on that's trying to get rid of the FBI. That's part of it. 36, infiltrate and gain control of more unions. 37, infiltrate and gain control of big businesses. 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. That's going on. 39, dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist, socialist, or Democrat goals. 40, discredit the family as an institution. How long has this one been going on? Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. Right now, the divorce is easier to get than many things in our nation. Probably easier than toilet paper right now. 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudices. Yeah, something keeps coming over my stuff here. Mental blocks, retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. Remember the Hildebeest? I'll get to that in a minute. Create impression of violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use a united force to solve economic, political, or social problems when they don't know anything about them. 43. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. That has happened many times. 44. Internationalize the Panama Canal. That's happened. 45. Reveal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent World Court from seizing jurisdiction over domestic problems. That's here in the United States, folks. Give the World Court jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike. And now to remove the liberal blindfold here, folks, I will start with number 45. What is going on in Washington and the UN now? What are they advocating? One world government that will repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike, even Americans. Why do you think they want that, other than the fact that it is part of the communist document for taking over the U.S.? They don't like the United States being as powerful as it is. They have been working for generations to get rid of that power. When it comes to the 45 things that were talked about in Congress in 1963, every single one of them has been done, or if not done, pushed into the mainstream thought. Why do you think that students of today think the Constitution is outdated and needs to be replaced? Schools have been taken over by the left. The media has been taken over by the left. Hollywood has been taken over by the left. Everything that was mentioned in Congress in 1963 has at least been tried, and most have been done. Dissolution of the family. That one is well documented as something that is wanted and needed by the left, and they say by all of us, fathers are not needed. Mothers are needed but can be replaced. Children are not part of the family. They are part of the village. Remember the Hildebeest telling us this? The schools are now liberal bastions where students cry to the moon when things don't go their way, or like the last election when Trump got elected. The left is always telling us now that democracy is at stake and that Trump is destroying it, when in fact it has been the demon brats themselves who have been actively destroying our freedoms and the Constitution step by step for a century or more now. It used to be something that was subtle and not out in the open. But since Obama became president, the left has been in overdrive in their attempt to destroy everything that goes on against the things that they have been working on since before 1963. And the scary part of this is even some who are supposedly Republicans are now on their side. Mitt Romney. And remember John McCain? We couldn't talk against him because he was a war hero. To the left, they could downgrade that man all they wanted to. But let the right do it, and they were talking against, and we would be talking against an American hero, and that shouldn't be allowed. When Obama was president, we were always told that his family was totally off limits when it came to criticism, and that all presidents deserve that. And yet those same people are lambasting Trump and his family daily. The double standard that the left has been keeping for the last century is getting to the point where we cannot, if we have our minds open to possibilities, be ignored, and yet everyone on the left does. The Clinton Foundation and the Clintons have a body bag list of many people that is still growing, and yet the left will go after a Republican congressman for having an affair with a male page and destroying his career for it. Ted Kennedy, on the night that Mary Jo Kopechne died in his car, actually did a bunch of things that would have destroyed any Republican, or any of us for that matter, for doing the same things. Driving without a driver's license, without insurance, with not leaving the scene of the accident, not reporting the accident, all of that. But nothing was ever done, and he died in the Senate as a lion of the Senate. The sad part of this is if I listed everything the Democrats have done that the Republicans have not been allowed to do, this update would last until next week. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been bad Republicans, too. Nixon was impeached and lost the presidency over Watergate, something that many presidents before him and after have done, but didn't get caught. The Democrats always talk of Jim Crow laws, stuff that the Republicans, and that the Republicans liked it. To the Democrats, it was the Republicans who kept that in place for so long. But it wasn't. It was the Democrats. Democrats always talk of how Republicans hate the family, but in fact, it has been the Democrats and their policies that have been anti-family for decades. Lately, over the last 20 years or so, we have been hearing of how bad the Founding Fathers were, how they were slave owners and adulterers and all kinds of things that today are considered wrong. And the truth of the matter is never spoken. Truth of how slavery at that time was prevalent all over the world, how it was the blacks in Africa who was selling the blacks to Americans for slavery. But the other thing that is never mentioned, especially when it comes to all those who are calling for reparations, is that America didn't have slavery for that long, and that it was America that fought a war to get rid of it. As for reparations, go after the ones who really propagated it. Go after the ones that at the time had slavery and had no desire to get rid of it. Go after the slave traders in Africa who actively sold people into slavery. Don't go after America for having it for a short time, because these are the things that are going wrong today, because the Democrat Party is an active participant in the destruction of our republic. Are you afraid, folks? Are you afraid yet? Because if you're not, then you are part of the problem. America, as Stalin once said, will have to be destroyed from the inside, and we are the active participants in this destruction, folks. Want communism and socialism to take away our Constitution, laws, and freedoms? Stay on the path the left has us on. Believe them when they say they are for the little guy and for the family, and it will happen, because the left is socialist oriented to the max. That is their goal. Anything that America was founded on for is a target for them. There is something that needs to be taught, folks, but isn't, is this. One of the most fantastic phenomena of modern times has been the unbelievable success of the communist conspiracy to enslave mankind. Part of this has been the result of two species of ignorance. Ignorance concerning the constitutional requirements needed to perpetuate freedom, and secondly, ignorance concerning the history, philosophy, and strategy of the world communism. Today, folks, this also includes Islam. You have been warned again. Good to see you there, Claudia. God bless America. God bless our troops. And as a friend of mine used to always say, we will not be ruled. This is Robert the Infidel Guarding reporting, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a blessed day.